What if I told you that the Trump administration actually has admitted that it has no authority whatsoever to do a lot of the things they've done the past 120 days, like that only Congress is supposed to allocate funding and dismantle agencies, that they cannot restrict or withhold or cancel funding that's already been allocated, that they can't coerce agencies, universities, schools, private businesses to do their bidding at the threat of holding funding that's already been allocated, that if they were to withhold funds or cancel a grant, that it has to be related specifically to the grants. They can't cancel a grant for one thing because someone failed to do something in another area, that's totally unlawful. If I told you that the Trump administration admitted all of that, would you believe me? Well, they did. And here's the thing. And that's why you follow me. My name is JJ Legal here on social media. One of the things I do is help as a lawyer people understand the various different lawsuits that filed against the Trump administration. And something that I tell the people who follow me, if you're not following it, you're looking for a place to be calm or understand that things are going to be okay on the other side. One of the things I tell the folks to follow me is that what they say, the Trump administration, Kristi Noem, Donald Trump, Stephen Miller, Carolyn Leavitt, Pam Bondi, Marco Rubio, Tom Nolan, all the things that they say in social media, in mass media, in their signal chats to their friends while they're bumping chests totally conflicts with what the Department of Justice is saying in the dockets, because they have to defend the indefensible, because they're doing illegal and lawful things. So many times the judges, because of this thing called depositions, because of declarations, because you're doing document exchange, because they're filing documents, I'm looking at over 200 lawsuits filed. Inside of them is where you find the confessions, because they're saying the exact opposite. And they're saying, no, we're biting, we're doing it, they're telling the judges something, and they're admitting things. And here's the thing, that the Department of Justice says something, just like we saw this week with Senator Whitehouse using a declaration, some sworn statements in court documents against EPA Administrator Lee Zetlin, and they're going to continue to do that. And that's the courts, the benefit of courts accountability. People say they're not being accountable. All right, well, what happens is we're going to use those statements in hearings. We're going to use those statements when we're campaigning. We're going to use those statements to show the American people the fact that y'all know very well that what you're doing is unlawful. So in a specific example, a district court judge had told the Trump administration they cannot punish cities and withhold fundings for cities and states for random things, for child care, for like parks and recreation, because the cities refuse to help them do something that's unlawful, help them with immigration. There's a thing called federalism in the United States government. The cities and states are not allowed to help the federal government with immigration. That's the purview of the federal government. That's your job. You can't force the cities and states. We have federalism. We're doing our job. And because we won't help you, you're going to try to punish us by taking grants that had nothing to do with immigration? That's what they did. So federal judges were like, no, give them back the grants. So, of course, they're stubborn. They don't do what the freak they're supposed to be told. They ignore the federal district court judges. They didn't give the grants back. So the cities and states to sue had to come back to the judge. They're like, hello, Your Honor, we don't have our grants back. And then what the Trump administration did was, why? Because 4 days after the preliminary injunction telling them you can't punish sanctuary cities this way, Donald Trump issued another executive order saying the same, doing almost the same thing, but just kind of like getting around. He says, no matter what order you do, man, you can't do this. And they dog walked as usual. The judge put in his order, he quoted a hearing on April 23rd. The hearing was on April 23rd, 2025. He says, did I not tell you that Congress has the spending power and the executive branch and its agency cannot place new conditions on already appropriated funds? The president doesn't have unilateral authority to refuse to spend funds appropriated by Congress. The conditions on federal funds must be timely and unambiguous. It can't be like you didn't do this or 2 months. The conditions on federal fund must bear relations to the issue. So you can't say Harvard because you're not nice to like Israel or these Palestine, pro-Palestine students, because your actions of this, I'm going to take your funding related to cancer research. Or you can't say to American Bar Association, for example, because you spoke out against me, because you cited in this case, we're going to take away your funding related to Violence Against Women's Act, that you have a grant that helps women, domestic violence victims get lawyers. Has nothing to do with the people using their First Amendment right, filing a lawsuit in support of USAID, nothing to do with the Violence Against Women Act. It has to be related. Do you understand that? And the government agreed that they applied. They agreed. So in the end of that case, he said, well, you understand, you agree, don't do this. Don't. So let them go appeal. They're going to appeal it to the next level and appeal it to the next level, and we'll see. And the Supreme Court, what could you, they admitted they can't do that. So what, so if they appeal it, what do they want the Supreme Court to say? They admitted they're not supposed to be doing this. So this admission and this April 23rd injunction hearing, that admission alone from the Department of Justice, that should be used in every single case. All the dismantling, every single thing that DOJ did, every single thing, they admitted that what they're doing is wrong. They had made that admission already. That's the most powerful thing. I don't know. I just bumped into this. I was like, what the hell? So who knows? So that's where it is. It's in the devil's in the details. They like admit it. All the shit we've been doing is illegal, unlawful. We don't have authority to do this stuff. JJ legal. It's like, anyway, so what do you do with that? What do you do with this knowledge? What you do with this knowledge is that it tells you that we can use that's usable, and that when it goes up, eventually it's going to be struck down. A lot of stuff is slow. I said this before in a previous video. The gears of justice grind super, super slow. But what happened last time, what's going to happen this time, the same thing. Is because they're not careful. They're just doing roughshod activities. They're not doing the work, the labor that's required to, with the things they want to do. Arguably, they can do them if they did it the right way and took the time, build the record. But they don't want to take the time. They don't want to do all that stuff. They just want to be lawless and hope to get away with it. I think they overshot their hand. They thought the Supreme Court was going to green light this. I don't know what they were thinking. I'm not quite sure why they thought. I mean, because Donald Trump has criminal immunity, the courts would say, okay, because we gave you criminal immunity, that means you can violate civil and constitutional law, and we're going to sit down and say that's okay. Is that what happened? I don't know what I just don't know what they were thinking. And for you people think, well, they're getting away with it. No, they're not. Because I have a future video coming. In this future video, I'm going to show you, I'm going to do it to the extent that there's reversals. I mean, they're doing gender affirming care now because the court told them to. There's a trans woman who got her passport that says female because the court told them to. They are websites restored because the court told them to. So there's accountability. So I need y'all to stop being so, I hate saying y'all, I hate any of you, stop giving them more power. Okay? All right. JJ Legal.